The world is changing. Business is transforming. At the center of this evolution is arguably the largest opportunity in IT history. The hybrid cloud makes it possible to respond to rapidly changing business environments and innovate faster. And we must move with speed and scale to capture these new opportunities. Of course, data fuels the cloud and all of the new innovations that the cloud can unleash. But across these new environments, moving and accessing data is a challenge. Every cloud platform has a different way to manage your data. We need a more seamless way to manage, move, share, and protect data on premises or off. To make it available wherever and whenever it's needed. The world needs data fabric to integrate these different data environments with a common, cohesive approach. Fabrics make systems work, and in the NetApp vision for Data Fabric, your data can flow where and when it's needed. With a common data format to bring your applications to the cloud or take them from one platform to another. And a common set of tools so you can seamlessly move data from one cloud to another. And an architecture that allows you to evolve your IT environments to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the cloud. So your data is ready for anything, giving you the freedom to make the best decisions for your business. The mobility to move and access your data wherever and whenever, and the speed to innovate faster.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President NetApp, Rob Salmon.
Welcome. It is fantastic to have all of you join us here in Las Vegas at Insight 2015. You know, my years at NetApp, it's always been about change. I've always felt that a key to our success here at NetApp and a cornerstone is our ability to change. And right now, there's more change happening in the heart of IT than arguably in many, many years. But not just within IT. How what we do is consumed. And that's why we're here. We are really excited to have you join us this week. We are confident to we see what's going to happen in the future. This notion of a blend of public and private clouds with hybrid clouds and putting it all together. It's a story we embarked on last year when we started talking about the data fabric. And we're going to give you a lot of updates on where we are today, not just from our perspective, from customers' perspectives as well. And we're really, really excited about it. You see, at NetApp, we're a 24-year-old company. But we have the spirit, the passion, the energy of a startup. Yet we have the experience, the scale, the maturity to handle our customers' most mission-critical data, wherever they are, and we do that every day. And we're excited to do it, and I'd like to give a round of applause to all our customers that are here joining us this week. Thank you. You know, it's the second year we've invited customers to this event, and I'll share with you when we decided to do it, what I heard was two things. The technical folks that have been here for many years said, Rob, are you going to water it down and make it a marketing event? No. And I heard from our customers, Rob, we don't want to go to a marketing event. The feedback we got last year was it was an overwhelming success, and we're going to build on that this year. We're going to build on it in the discussions up on the main stage, in our breakout sessions, in the communities in which we talk. So we are excited to have you here. But this isn't a technical conference, so let's make no mistake about it. This is where our customers, alliance partners, go-to-market partners, and NetApp employees listen, learn, and collaborate with each other all around great customer outcomes. With all the noise in the industry today, let's never forget, our mission here at NetApp is all about great customer outcomes, understanding what the customer is trying to accomplish in their business and helping them get there with our partners. At this time, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors that are helping us put this event on. Let's give them a round of applause. So tonight we kick off Insight Central, and that's where you can go and talk to many of our partners. You know, as I've learned over the years, people don't buy NetApp solutions. They buy solutions to their challenges or opportunities. Oftentimes, that's helping them raise their revenues, reduce costs. Sometimes about help saving lives. Very different types of endeavors. I think about the big themes going on in the world today. Not about IT, about helping educate in rural areas, giving health care to those less fortunate, and raising the opportunity for so many. That is the blend of great vendors in our community working with private and public sectors to make that happen. And NetApp is proud to be involved in those discussions. But so are the rest of our partners. So I want to make sure that you go to Insight Central. Spend time there. If you're a customer, you're going to learn from the partners about what they're doing with NetApp. If you're a partner, you'll learn from other partners how you can work together to provide solutions. And certainly at NetApp, you know it's not about us. It's about the customer and making sure we're providing the right solutions for them. And that always encompasses 2, 3, or 4 of us working well together. And also at Insight Central, we have something called Startup Alley. You know, we like to talk a lot about what's happening in big enterprise. I'm absolutely thrilled with the big customers that have joined us here this week. But I'm also really excited about the new emerging companies, the new workloads, and what they're doing. I was intrigued, I was thrilled to hear about some of the things these folks are working on. Things are really cool. That arguably, how they think about using IT and the agility that we can bring them as we work with our partners moves their business along faster. So I'm not going to talk about them here, but I'd highly recommend spend some time in Insight Central and make sure you stop by Startup Alley. So we've got a big week for you. We've got 3 general sessions. And to kick this one off, I'm going to introduce George Kurian. Now, George is NetApp CEO. He's been with NetApp about 4.5 years now. Started off in product operations, really leading our efforts around how we thought about the move to cluster data on tap, CDI. And we're going to give you a big update on that this week. For the last 2 years, he led product operations. In fact, at this conference last year, George shared with you the vision around data fabric. George is the architect of that vision. And it's really playing out well. Really playing out well for us. 4.5 months ago, George took the helm as our CEO. And I can tell you we're excited about it. He's got a fine balance of internal and external focus. He has traveled the world in the 4 months as our CEO. In fact, I know he was in Europe just last week, meeting with customers, partners, and employees. And what excites George is not talking about what we do. It's talking about how we're driving great customer outcomes. We are thrilled to have you here this week. We're looking forward to a lot of great conversations together. It's my honor to start off the keynotes this week by having our CEO, George Kurian, join us. So I'll look forward to seeing you later. Thank you very much. George?
Thank you. Thank you to all of you, our customers, our partners, and to all of the NetApp teams that worked so hard to put Insight together. It is my distinct honor as Chief Executive of NetApp to have you here. So welcome, a full, warm-hearted NetApp welcome to you. I have been traveling around the world over the last few weeks as the CEO of NetApp, and I wanted to share with you the perspectives I've learned in my discussions with customers and partners around the world. It is about the digital future, a data-powered digital future that is before us. And every customer in every industry is faced with a choice about embracing the data-powered digital future. And let's talk about why. The business imperatives in our customers have always been the same, about growth, about speed and scale, about cost and risk. But the capabilities to achieve those outcomes are now at their fingertips. And those capabilities are technological capabilities, ubiquitous mobile broadband technologies, ubiquitous computing, extremely large-scale, cost-effective storage. And those capabilities allow businesses to transform themselves and embrace the future. And here's a simple example. Take cars. Cars are the most physical of things, about tires and iron and all of that. But now think about the car of today, about how digital technology and data is transforming the car of today. I was in Germany last week, and I met with one of the largest and most prestigious car makers in the world. And we have been working with them around the research and development of the next generation autonomous self-driving motor vehicle. And here's a few data points about that. Today's cars have 100 million lines of software code in them. They have a TCP/IP network in them. All of the IT in this large worldwide car manufacturer, in the history of that company, has generated 1.2 petabytes of data. And we manage a whole lot of it. But 10 autonomous self-driving cars in the matter of 1 month generate 1.2 petabytes of data. That car is not a physical car. It's a digital travel experience. And it is a mobile data center on wheels. That is digital transformation, a data-powered digital transformation to the automotive industry. And let me tell you about how our business partners around the world are taking advantage of digital technology. In industry after industry, there are examples of institutions using the reach of the mobile phone and the pervasive connectivity of mobile broadband technology to engage customers where they are rather than where you want them to be. In banking, a large French bank is today delivering digital capabilities using NetApp technology to the mobile phones of customers not only in France but around the world, engaging them where they are rather than in the bank. And in the bank of that French bank, in the branch of that French bank, when you walk into that branch, you don't stand behind a teller window, but you sit next to a banking customer with a laptop and an iPad. Digital technology that's transforming the customer experience. Another example, using data to transform business processes. Here in the western half of the United States, we've had a marathon drought that has depleted the western half of the United States of its most precious resource, water. Together with the California Department of Water Resources, NetApp technology is being used to bring together historic archives of water records together with advanced analytics. And that combination of technology as well as the partnerships between public and private research institutions is allowing water to be dispersed to the places where it's needed most. And what's even more important is that real-time analysis of where water is available is now being delivered to the mobile phones and the iPads of the California firefighters who jump out of planes to save our homes from wildfires by using real-time data to construct the most effective fire breaks. Another example of digital technology and data transforming our world and making it better. A third example, the Internet of Things. You know that car that I talked about? It's a phenomenal example of the Internet of Things. And the data within it is being used to simplify and improve the customer experience, to give you predictive analytics of when you need to take your car to the repair shop, or where you might have a defect in your car. That's an example of data being used with the Internet of Things to improve operational experience, the efficiency of business process, the cost of supporting customers, and transforming that industry. And finally, companies are transforming themselves using the reach and the cost that technology enables so that you can interact with the experts around the world using digital capabilities. There are example after example of customers being able to interact with their audiences, of businesses building global virtual networks of capabilities using technology and software rather than physical person-to-person interaction. Nike is using technology to enable large-scale interactions of athletes around the world, people like you and perhaps me, to provide input into their next-generation shoe designs so that they can take advantage of the knowledge and the wisdom of people around the world to build a better shoe for every part of the world. That's an example of digital technology enabling a network of intelligence and reach that that company never had before. So I want to summarize by saying that digital technology is transforming businesses today and into the future. And data is the foundation of that revolution. It is data that helps you serve customers better. It is data that helps you transform business operations. It is data that helps you realize the promise of a global integrated business network with access to the world's experts, regardless of where they are. And businesses all over the world are racing to adapt to this digital world. It is a transformation because it requires change on multiple dimensions. On the business process side, it requires you to transform physical business processes to digital business processes. With regard to organization structure, businesses are evolving their capabilities with the appointments of new leadership roles reporting to the CEOs of these companies. Titles like the Chief Digital Officer, the Chief Data Scientist, Cloud Czars, they're all common within our customers today. And they are a representation of the fact that customers are seeking to get the capabilities to transform themselves from a traditional business to a technology-powered, data-led digital business. And of course, we would not be at a conference like this without talking about technology. And there's awesome new technology that enables these capabilities, both traditional and emerging application software, as well as storage and data management capabilities, enterprise-grade flash, management at massive scale, web-scale architectures, software-defined, converged infrastructure. You will hear about all of this at this conference, and I encourage you to learn about it. But not only that, not only are we pioneering great technology and great engagement with customers around their business problems, but more importantly, we're putting all of this technology together into a seamlessly integrated solution enabled by the hybrid cloud. You see, when I talked about the digital future, we at NetApp, and increasingly our customers, realize that that digital future is out there, not in here. And for it to be out there and for you to be able to capture the capabilities of the world where it is, rather than where you want it to be, you will need to evolve your IT architecture out of the confines of your data center into the places where your customers are, where your partners are, and where your suppliers are. And that is the essence of hybrid cloud. And at the foundation of the hybrid cloud is data. It was just a year ago that I stood before you at NetApp Insight and talked about our vision for seamlessly integrated data management across the hybrid cloud, a vision that we call the data fabric from NetApp. And what a year it's been. This year, on the first anniversary of the NetApp data fabric, you will see enormous progress on technology, on the ecosystem that takes our technology and makes it available to you as solutions, and most importantly, customer adoption. Marrying the promise of our technology with your genius to deliver business results and outstanding business results. I was in Europe last week at a dinner in London, and I met the best salesperson for NetApp, the very best. It was a customer of ours who at this dinner, when I asked all of the customers, what one thing or two things would you want us to do better for you, told me this story. He said, I was not a customer of NetApp till 6 months ago. I was a customer of all of your competitors over the past decade. And what you guys have allowed me to accomplish in the last 6 months has been more transformative to my business than what the other guys did for the last 10 years. And he said, it was because you started with my problem rather than your solution. It was because you chose to put my interests ahead of yours. You'll have, with the data fabric, allowed me to integrate acquisitions faster, deliver capabilities to both my customers and my employees around the world faster, reduce the cost of my data centers by 50%, and set myself up for the next generation of my company in a way that no other technology provider has been enabled. And that was the best salesperson for NetApp that I have ever encountered. And we are lucky to have people like that here. Thank you and welcome. So I talked about the digital world. I talked about data being at the heart of that digital world. And I talked about technology, the great technology that we have developed, the partnerships that allow us to bring it to market, and our perspective of the IT architecture for the next decade, a hybrid cloud IT architecture with seamlessly integrated data management, a vision that we call the NetApp Data Fabric. And all of that is great, But as I tell our teams at home, none of that means anything unless it helps our customers achieve amazing business outcomes. None of our technology and innovation means anything unless it is put to use by you to deliver the business outcomes that you are looking for. I am privileged in my life to be able to come home every day to see the impact and the meaning of my work because it has had personal impact. And I wish that many people would see those stories, the amazing stories of what we do with customers. And I'll tell you a few of them today. In the financial services industry, there is fierce competition to engage customers and sell them more services. That competition is no longer between the largest banks of the world, but it is with fintech companies in Silicon Valley and in Bangalore, India, and in several other parts of the world. Companies that are challenging the position of the financial services incumbents using digital technology. We were engaged by one of our large customers, a very well-known credit card and financial services company, who said that in order to compete with these new startups, they needed to transform themselves to be like one of them. And they wanted to do so by delivering new services faster and quicker, by using application software and programming intelligence to deliver digital services to their customers where they are around the world, rather than have them all come back to some regional office or some branch office to serve them. They used OpenStack technology to build a highly flexible environment using the Cisco FlexPod, have dramatically improved their development times for new capabilities to the customer, and are now ready for the pursuit of the digital customer where they are, which is precisely what this financial services institution wanted to do. Take another example. All of you would travel here, and to do so, your airline pilots would check off with a weather services institution. In Germany, the largest national meteorological service, the one that every airline pilot and every airport checks off before allowing a plane to fly, had data sources from over 2,000 measuring stations, a network of 17 weather radar systems, numerous meteorological satellites, and 200 international data sources. That is an enormous amount of data. And that data was getting so large and complex to analyze and forecast against that it was impacting the speed and responsiveness of the search and rescue teams that were flying out to rescue people in distress. Using our NetApp all-flash fast systems, we were able to improve the time it took to forecast from 15 seconds to approximately 1 second, and the time it took to make decisions for those pilots of search and rescue aircraft around the world from critical to exactly where they wanted to be. Digital transformation with real-time business insight powered by NetApp technology. A third example, I am sure many of you here would have bought a ticket for a rock concert from this company. It is the largest promoter of rock concerts and musical programming in the North American continent. And they had a problem, which is that as soon as they announced a rock concert, several people would build programming bots that would buy up all of the tickets and put large bulk purchases. And then they would go off and sell those purchases on the secondary market for a huge profit. That was getting concert promoters upset and, frankly, losing this business a lot of money. So what they wanted to do was to find a way to detect the people who were doing malicious things on their environment and block them. And using a combination of an application called Splunk with NetApp E-Series technology, they were able to do so. And even more so, they took the data that was being generated and provided insight to the concert promoters about where ticket sales were outpacing demand and where they could stand up a second concert event. Business outcomes delivered by data and NetApp technology for the digital world. And finally, a home realty company that provides information to hundreds of people in Australia, millions of people in Australia, realtors, homeowners, home buyers, institutions. All of them depend on about 130 real-time data feeds to more than 500 million property decision points. That is an example of a digital business transforming the real estate transaction process. This company used NetApp technology to streamline the speed and the responsiveness of their application infrastructure so that with all flash storage arrays, they could provide information in real time to agents in the field, decision makers at home, and bankers in their offices. A digital business powered by data using NetApp technology. And thanks to all of these examples and hundreds of others, what a year it's been. We have had extraordinarily strong momentum in all of our product categories. Clustered ONTAP, over 6,000 plus customers, growing 130% year on year. New to NetApp customers north of 200% year on year. We have more than 3.5 exabytes of clustered data ONTAP storage. The fastest, largest growing storage business in the industry. And now the number 2 storage business in the industry, the E-Series, which through our branded reseller channel is allowing us opportunity to solve new applications and new use cases at customers. Use cases that cross big data and analytics to video surveillance to high-performance computing to the most demanding performance-oriented applications in the world. Thanks to you for all of this success. In Flash, our enterprise-grade Flash technology gives you the performance and efficiency of Flash, but without the compromises that every other architecture in the industry requires you to make. That has allowed us to sweep out frame arrays, as well as siloed point solutions that are simply inadequate for the requirements of the digital future. So we're excited by all of these new technologies, and we recognize that many of you are still customers of our 7-mode technology, and I want to tell you this as CEO of NetApp. We understand that you need time to migrate to clustered data ONTAP, and we will support you to accomplish those migrations. But in addition, we will support you on 7-mode all the way till the end of calendar year 2020. We will give you more information of that through our tech teams, and you will have all of our detailed plans within the next 30 days. And we thank you for doing business with NetApp on both our new technology as well as our traditional ones. It's a measure of the confidence and trust you place in us, and we take that seriously. So I want to summarize where we've been. The world of the future is a digital world powered by data. We are uniquely positioned with our track record of 24 years of innovation and trust working with partners and customers to help you navigate the changing landscape. I gave you several examples of us having worked with partners and customers around compelling business opportunities. The second is that our vision for the future is a world where you are free to innovate and to meet your customers where they are rather than where you want them to be. And at the foundation of that is the hybrid cloud with consistent data management, a vision that we call the NetApp Data Fabric. And to support those two objectives, you will see from me an integrated plan with relentless execution across all aspects of our business, and a posture and a commitment to you that we are the teammate you can count on to win. So let me close by sharing with you one simple story. I was out with my daughter in a beautiful park in San Francisco a couple weekends ago. She is a beautiful, loving 8-year-old girl with the entire promise of her life in front of her. 80 years. The possibilities of that future are all ahead of her. And I stood under a tree with her, a tree that looked very much like this. It was a beautiful green tree with large branches. And my little girl, she climbed up that tree and moved out onto a branch. And I asked her what she was doing, and she said, "I want to see further, Daddy. I want to look out further than I was able to do at the bottom of that tree." And so it got me thinking about the following. An 8-year-old girl with the promise of her whole life in front of her was willing to take that risk and climb the tree so that she could see further. And her father, a 48-year-old man with most of my life halfway behind me and a lot less ahead of me, was scared to climb that tree because I felt that I would have something to lose. Let me tell you this about NetApp. We intend to climb trees. We intend to stretch our horizons. And we intend to paint masterpieces together with you. So thank you for coming to Insight. It is my honor and privilege to have you here. Let's have a great week together. And so to do that, I am honored to invite one of our partners who we have worked with for a long period of time, a partner that we have a common vision of the future, a common vision about the data center, a common vision of how technology can be used to deliver compelling value to customers. Please join me in welcoming from our partner Cisco Systems, Nick Earle, Senior Vice President of Cloud and Managed Services. Nick has been at Cisco for several years, has played leading roles across several aspects of Cisco, including leading their enterprise services sales organization and being honored by being named the #2 disruptor in IT by CRN News. It is my honor to welcome Nick Earle to represent how Cisco and NetApp can do great things for you, our customers. And to do so, please also say happy birthday to Nick, because today is Nick Earle's birthday. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you, and a pleasure to be here. Wow, big hall. About 2010 it was when we first launched UCS, and some of you may remember there was someone who gave a very memorable quote. They probably regretted it about 3 seconds later, but it made the press. It was the CEO of HP at the time, Leo Apotheker, who was asked, "What about these sales figures?" It was about the time we were launching FlexPod. "What about these sales figures? Cisco and NetApp are claiming great early success. What do you think, Leo?" And he said, "Well, I don't see it. We never compete with them. And if they are selling any, they're selling them on Planet Zircon." And that got a lot of press, and we were actually pleased to see it. So I thought I would start off by showing you what Planet Zircon looks like. Because you are all fellow Zirconians. And this is what it looks like 5 years later. It looks pretty good. It's the 5th anniversary. I think some of these were up on the sort of quiz that was coming out earlier on. 5.6 billion, 6,300 customers. One of the key successes was what we call the CVD program, the Cisco Validated Designs. So for the partners who are here in the audience, you know exactly what that is, how we packaged everything. We pre-tested it, we certified it, we gave CVDs, over 100 CVDs, 1,100 partners, many of you are in the audience. And then you can read the data down the bottom there, where 50% of customers buying FlexPod were new customers. I have to give a shout out to my Australian friends. I met them at an event last night who told me that FlexPod grew 60% in the Australian market last year. So a shout out to our Australian friends who grew 60%. By the way, the #1 cloud, I'm responsible for the cloud program, and the #1 cloud market globally is actually Australia. AWS's highest penetration is there, so that is quite amazing what they're doing. Now, the reason for this success is not just because we have a great alliance, and as George says, we do, but what it actually has been around is a continuous stream of engineering innovation. Starting off with the original concept of the integrated architectures, the CVDs, but then moving very quickly into solutions. Solutions around Microsoft, solutions on the desktop with Citrix, solutions with SAP. Moving from there into the real key issues around UCS Director and ACI integration to have application policy abstracted away from the underlying infrastructure to a set of application profiles that then could be extensible across a distributed architecture. And now moving in from there into big data. I'll talk a lot about big data and where it's going to go. And then into the smaller and smaller form factors based around the UCS Mini. And then lately, a series of new announcements. The really big thing that's happening is the explosion in connectivity. I'll show you the data in a minute. It's quite remarkable. But frankly, the connectivity is going so quick that you can't afford to touch anything. It has to be automated. So software-based automated provisioning and technologies such as the all-flash FAS, integration of policy management with the applications, and then new converged stacks with Microsoft, for instance, around CCA, which is for our service providers, allows connectivity through Azure Pack into Azure with pre-integrated ACI policy libraries, and the next big thing, which is integrated OpenStack capabilities for pure cloud-native environments. So there's going to be more and more engineering releases coming. But one of the reasons why we've been successful is we didn't just have the engineering ideas. We built these things together because we knew what was coming next. So let's talk about that. And let's now look forward. What is coming next? Well, we don't really know, but one thing we do know is the biggest thing that's happening is exponential connectivity. Now, before I show you some of the stats, I really want to illustrate the difference. Some of you may have seen this, but the difference between linear and exponential. So if I walk across this stage and I do 30 linear steps, say my steps are a meter, I end up 30 meters away. If I do 30 exponential steps, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, I end up 1,000,000 meters away, or 26 times around the world. So whenever you see a trend that's exponential, you know something completely different is going to happen, and a completely different set of solutions are needed. Connectivity is exponential, not linear. The current stats are 30 million new things being IP-enabled every week, and there's 8 billion, or 5 billion, excuse me, things enabled, IP-enabled today. Now, we believe that 500 billion things will be IP-enabled or connected via the network in 2020. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of engineers here who have already done the maths. There's 5 billion today at 30 million a week. You must be going exponential to get to 500 billion in 5 years' time, because this is exponential. It's y equals x squared. Even today at 5 billion, there's already 277 times more data at the edge than in the IT environment. Even today, 277 times. If we go from 5 billion to 500 billion, you do the maths, we're going to have tens of thousands of times more data at the edge than in the center. What is that going to do? What's the world going to look like when most of the data, as Gartner say here, is inaccessible? If you use traditional techniques, enterprise data warehousing, even Hadoop clustering, most of the data will be inaccessible. So companies know this because they're being disrupted. George talked a lot about disruption. You think of the Ubers, the Airbnbs, the Spotifys. So we did a survey, it's available on our website, which we asked customers, this is customers' own data at CXO level, several hundred companies. We asked them multiple questions, but the question on the left is that in your industry, how many of the top 4 of the top 10 do you think will be replaced in the next few years? And which industries are most at risk? You see hospitality and travel are at the top. Think Airbnb. Financial services, what's happening in the financial services world. Retail coming in at number 3. And then on the right-hand side, we asked the second question, which is never mind being disrupted, how many of them you think are going to go out of business completely? And actually, you see hospitality and travel and then retail rising to number 2. So what people are saying is they think that there's a very good chance that the top 4 in the industry will actually not exist. Companies will go out of business. Again, this is not a vendor survey, it's a customer survey. And then when we ask the next question is, well, how long is it going to take? The figure came back at 3 years. Now, if you look at the top 4 companies in about 15 vertical industries in 1998, and then 2003, say, or 2005, actually, it took 7 years for the top 4 players to be replaced. It's going to happen again, but it's going to take 3 years. So let me try and bring this to life with one of the industries at the top of those charts, which is retail. I'm sure there are many retail companies out here. This is an industry that is under attack. You own the assets, the stores, you own the stock, people walk in with smartphones and buy it from somebody else. We've also got the payment side is being disrupted. What the retailers know is they know what's going on in their store. They know that at any one time, 41% of shoppers are browsing, 21% of sales are lost because you don't have the right product, because you can't predict what people want before they come into the store. And at any one time, about a third of people would like assistance if it was offered to them in a form that was more than, can I help you today? I believe you're interested in a big screen TV. Can I show you the 3 options that we've got? The irony is that to get that sort of data from their Twitter history, from their search history, from all the forms of social that they have, from their smartphones, that data actually exists in the store. It's just not owned by the retailer. It exists in the video cameras. It exists with the supplier systems that are in there, the flat screens. It exists from the sensors on the shelves. That data is actually in there, or at least the sources of that data are in there, but the retailer can't get hold of it. If they could connect it all together into a fabric where they could analyze it and interpret it, the prize for the retailers is enormous. I'm working with customers on pilots on this. We see 17% more traffic. You go there because the experience is better. Think of the Apple store. A 20% increase in the revenue per square foot and 15% higher productivity. So this is the way the big companies need to move, which is to harness this data that is in the things, but not just the things, the applications, the processes, the people and the things, in order to protect themselves from digitization. Now, some of you may say, oh, that's fine. I mean, that's big data, right? I mean, it's Hadoop clusters. That's all we have to do. Access the data from Hadoop clusters, and we're good. But it's not enough. One of the ways of looking at big data and analytics is this 1 + 2 + 3 approach. Because data has weight, it's time sensitive, it has a half-life, and it accelerates as you go to the edge. Big data, extract, transform, and load, suck the data out, put it in a big, centralized, company-based enterprise data warehouse, traditional way we've done it for years. The data is days or hours old at best. Hadoop clusters in the cloud, let's say on Amazon, you're still moving the data. Data still moves. You've got latency issues, particularly as you think of the hyper-explosion towards the edge. The data's, maybe it's minutes or it's seconds old. But if you want to actually intercept somebody as to when they're browsing in front of an item in a store and they move on, you don't have seconds. You have less than seconds. You have milliseconds. So you don't have enough time to move data. What you really want to do is big data, where you take the query to the data. You don't bring the data to the query. If you can distribute the data and get real-time analysis of data that's being streamed, then you can actually get some of these insights that you need, that you're going to need to compete. In fact, many of you may know from a Cisco point of view, that's what I've just described is an offering that we have called Cisco Data Virtualization. But if that's what you need to do to take advantage of this 90-something% of data that's not there, it means from an IT architecture point of view and from an application point of view, we need something different. Because for years, we've been managing the data center, the applications and the servers, and then we've been putting things in the cloud. We've been shipping data to Amazon on FedEx. Store your data on a flash drive, ship it to Amazon, then query it. But now what we need to do is actually go to where the data is. So we need to bring the management to the data and actually start managing data from the core to the edge in a way where you have security, compliance, policy, consistency. You need a data fabric architecture that goes from the data center through the cloud to the edge, because this is an exploding universe problem. There's new stars, new centers of gravity, new data centers being formed consistently, exponentially as you go to the right. Which brings us to the third section, which is, okay, so if that's what I've got to do, that's very different to what we were doing. How can Cisco and NetApp enable that world? How can you enable a hyper-distributed architectural framework where managing the data is incredibly important? Well, one of the first ways to look at it is look at what's happening on application delivery. And I may have looked forward, but now I'm going to look back and say, you know, there's lessons to be learned. Not everything is new in this industry, despite what we think. I'm going to go back to the early 90s, if you like, when some of you will remember, applications used to be monolithic. Manufacturing, sales order processing, financials, they were monolithic. Lots of different companies did it. And along came a German company. I was based in Germany at the time. A German software company, I have to tell you, a leading German software company was an oxymoron at that time. There were none, with apologies to any Germans in the audience. And out of a small town called Waldorf came SAP, who didn't make a better general ledger. They didn't make a better manufacturing project. What they did, and I was lucky enough to meet Hasso Plattner, who said the reason we're going to win is because there's fragmentation of the underlying infrastructure around client-server, and what's happening is the centers of data are fragmenting. And now everyone's got their own version of the corporate data. So people go into board meetings, say, this is what I think the sales figures is. Somebody says, no, this is what I think the sales figures is. Somebody says, no, I'm told the sales figures are this. CFOs do not have compliance and governance, and they can't keep it under control. The fragmentation of underlying architecture always results in the fragmentation of the integrity of the data. So, of course, they had the common object business model within SAP. They called it the Uber application, and the rest is history. And I would contend that what we're seeing right now is the exponential version of that. Now we have hyper explosion of connectivity, exponential explosion, and now we have to go from the cloud to the edge and the mobile. And once again, that issue of data consistency is going to be key. But not just that. It means that we, as Cisco and others, have to bring new capabilities to the network. Now, we're a company that for years has made the routers, the switches, then we disrupted voice, and then we disrupted video, we disrupted data center, and now we need to disrupt ourselves. Because we've got to be able to provide streaming analytics and aggregation, as I talked about before. We've got to become more of a software company. Everything's got to be, have process orchestration with policy. We need to get away from managing the components and keeping the lights on and abstracting that into policy-based rules. The data center needs to be a policy engine that can export its policies right the way across to the edge. The data, the devices, and the infrastructure, as well as the things, have to be connected and integrated. The storage is going to go right to the edge with the compute in smaller and smaller form factors. And then finally, and this is the really big change, everything has to be programmable, which means we need to open up, in our case, iOS, the operating system, the family of operating systems we have for our devices. We need to open them up through a set of APIs so that application developers can call not just the software layer, but actually call network functions down at the lower level. So you can embed quality of service into applications that dynamically programs the underlying infrastructure, again, from the data center to the edge. So we're making everything that we have a service, a SaaS-enabled capability, which is open and programmable and able to be driven by a set of process rules. And many of you are very aware of that and what we're doing, particularly around ACI. Now, as you do that, what sort of a business architecture, what business problem can you solve? So this is where we think it's going to go. There are already a few examples of this, but we talk about cloud and IaaS and PaaS and SaaS. Well, we think there's going to be a couple of new as-a-service layers. One I just talked about, which is NAS, Network as a Service, opening up the network so you can call the network as a service. And then the highest level will become the business process, BPaaS. A few years ago, I worked for Ariba. Many of you know Ariba. We're trying to do procurement exchanges. And Ariba never really got their act together. They had a big thing in the automotive industry around a company called Covisint, and they only got 3% liquidity. That meant that all the suppliers were going to pool all their procurement. We were all going to buy together in one place. They only got 3%. And the reason was we had to do XML connectivity, and most people hadn't even gone to XML. So there was friction in the exchange. What these new capabilities are solving when you flow it down to the network is that you take that friction away. So then if you're a car company, and this is an example of a car company, you can actually turn the product into an experience. So you sell the car on the basis that through your mobile device and the authentication is handled end-to-end. You can not only interface with the car, but you can reach into the dealer network, reach into the corporate applications, see when you can take your car in, because you can see back into the supply chain of the supplier and their component suppliers behind that. So products will become experiences, and experiences will be enabled by this hyper-connectivity of connecting all of this together. And that's what's happened when you take data management and you take the opening up of the network end-to-end across all of this. You still have the public cloud, but it extends right the way through to the edge. So how are we bringing this together? This is the bit that you see. Process-orientated data centers, FlexPod there, number one. You've seen the data. The ability to burst out to a public cloud in a way that where your policy can be extended, your security can be guaranteed. That's the area where we've introduced the intercloud ecosystem, 450 data centers across 50 countries being intercloud enabled. FlexPod is the dominant architecture there for most of the Cisco powered providers, and then increasingly smaller form factors to the edge. But it's not just FlexPod, it's the data fabric everywhere. So this is what's on the truck today, but more and more things will be on the truck as we roll out the next phase of innovation. So let me finish and summarize where I think we are with this. First of all, as I started off by saying, it's been 5 years of incredible success. Thank you. For all of you, the customers, the partners, the developers, thank you for that. But something much bigger is coming, which is digitization. Digitization George talked a lot about it, is being driven by hyper-connectivity. Hyper-connectivity allows new companies to start up to disrupt. Digitization enabled, hyper-connectivity enabled Airbnb. It enables Spotify. It enables Uber. The network will continue to evolve, programmable, policy, analytics everywhere, and connecting people, processes, and data, not just things. But for us, what NetApp will do is actually bring the data management to this. The NetApp data fabric is going to be a key enabler because it's going to be, once again, all about managing the data. In a world where there's going to be thousands, tens of thousands times more data than we're having today, the management of that data is going to be absolutely key with consistent policy, security, compliance, etc. And NetApp Data Fabric is a really, really key strategic enabler of that. And that's why we believe that as good as this has been, fellow Zirconians, we're going to conquer new planets, and we think you ain't seen nothing yet. So thank you for everything that you've done with us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Vice President, Systems Engineering, Roger Anderson.
All right. Hey, can we get one more round of applause for Nick Earle? I think that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you, Nick. You know, about 21 years ago, I was being interviewed by our vice chairman, Tom Mendoza, for a SE position in Dallas. And we were talking, and he said, Roger, you don't really get that excited, do you? I said, no, Tom, I get excited. You know, I'm just trying to be like Mr. Cool during the interview. He said, oh, I really couldn't tell. But I do get excited. There's a lot of things I get excited about. One thing is Insight. Insight is a fantastic place to come, listen, learn, have great conversations with folks. I really think Insight 2015 is going to be one of the best ever. And for me, personally, I want to thank everybody for being here. Not only for being here, but also for your energy, your dedication, the investment of time to be here. And you start to feel a buzz when it gets around Insight time. And I'm starting to feel that, definitely. Running into this event, there was a lot of excitement across our teams, across sales teams who had their customers coming here, across our partners. And I think part of it was about just the excitement about getting some of the best and brightest in the industry, in one place. But the other part was about the theme for Insight 2015 this year, and that's building the data fabric together. You heard from George Kurian, you heard from Rob Salmon, both from NetApp, talk about what we're doing today. You heard from Nick Earle, and all of them talked about how we're really making the data fabric real today with customer examples. I have an example. There's a well-known global service provider. They've implemented Snap Protect across dozens of controllers. They did this really for their internal backup and recovery needs. They also found that they could pass that value on, that capability onto their customers. So now their customers take advantage of this through taking advantage for disaster recovery, but also self-service restores. They do 300,000, they take 300,000 snapshots a month, right? And that sounds, that's a techie detail. No, but that's real value. Think of if you're a customer of this global service provider and you have the capability of doing self-service restores through the snapshot technology afforded by Snap Protect, that's real value. So we are solving real problems together, and we are creating positive outcomes. But it's not something that we can do alone. We need NetApp, we need our partners, and we need our customers. The NetApp tech team, we will make sure that we will acquire the knowledge and build the best data fabric in the industry. We're going to work with our go-to-market partners, our alliance partners, and we will collaborate to provide world-class solutions to our customers. And our customers will engage. And you really think about it, in that equation, the customer is the most important part of that equation. When we can bring value to a customer, what we're really doing is helping them improve the customer experience or bring capabilities to their customers. And when we can team together with our partners, when NetApp can, with our go-to-market and alliance partners, and help our customers' customers, then I think we've really achieved something. So I hope you're excited about what you've heard today. Tomorrow, we're going to have more great content, and we're going to have a mind-blowing demo that you're going to see. So I think you're really going to be interested in what you see tomorrow in the demo. And it's really going to, you'll leave thinking, okay, I can take this and I can go back today and I can implement Data Fabric and I can bring value back to my company. So before we break today, I know there's been accolades given to our partners, but there's a special group of partners, I think, that really needs a little bit of added appreciation. So you heard Nick Earle from Cisco, they're a Diamond sponsor. All right, tomorrow you'll hear from Fujitsu, another Diamond sponsor, and then we'll have VMware on the stage also, and VMware is a Platinum sponsor. There's absolutely no way that we can bring the value that we bring to our customers without that type of partnership, and realistically, there's no way we can hold events like this without support from them. So I'd like to give a round of applause to our partners, please. Join me, thank you. So I have an ask for everyone in here, and I obviously understand that everyone in here is not an employee of NetApp. You know, we have partners, we have customers, but in the end, somebody made an investment for you to be here. And so I think it makes sense to have a plan. If you have a plan coming in here, what you want to accomplish, what you need to bring back, that's great. If you don't have one, I just give a couple words of advice. One, do a lot of listening. Do a lot of asking. You're going to go to sessions, you're going to learn great stuff. The team has just really put their heart into making sure that the sessions are going to be extremely valuable for you. But I think there's just as much value to take from this conference in all the conversations you're going to have. So, step out of your comfort zone. Just go talk to people you don't even know. And I guarantee you that you're going to find something that's really interesting, and you'll be able to share as well. And then, of course, have fun. We seem to figure out a way to do that at Insight, and I know we're going to do it this year as well. Now, you can start with your networking and introducing yourself and talking to folks tonight when we have our reception. So directly after this, please head over to Insight Central. We look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. I want to thank you for your participation and attention today. Have a great evening. Thank you.